Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chamber here, and today we are going to be helping you boost your Warzone FPS. I'm going to show you what I do to get the most FPS out of Warzone. For example, with my system, which is a 10900K and a 2080 Ti, I'm getting about 250 FPS. So I'm going to show you some of the programs I use and some of the little tweaks I use to give you the most FPS. I'm also going to give you some other purchasing and ideas that you can do to also increase your FPS further. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to download the Warzone game booster from my Google Drive. It'll be the first link down below in the description, right below the like button. So what you're going to do is you want to right click with 7-zip, install 7-zip. I believe WinRAR will also work, but just right click, extract the file. Hit OK, and then it should extract wherever you have it, the file. Now you're going to open this. Now you're going to see this Chamber Tech file. You're going to want to copy this file, hit this PC, local disk, and then copy it in. Now you can refresh just to make it go to the top of the page. It's fine. But this is the pack. You're not going to want to delete this. There are some files that you actually need in here. So we're just going to go through and have everything you need in here. Everything is in order. So we're going to start with the cleanup. We're going to make a system restore point. We're going to go to our local disk, configure, turn on system protection if it's not already. I'm going to recommend about like 10 gigs. 10 gigs, perfectly fine. Just create and call it restore. Hit create. It'll create the system restore point. This might take however long it does depending on your system. We're going to do that. We're not going to restart. We're perfectly fine. We're now going to delete all of these temp files. If some don't, just hit skip. It's perfectly fine. You may have this. You may need to just hit that. I don't have many temporary files. You may. This is a brand new Windows install I just set up. We're going to hit 3 setup, and we're going to check every single one of these. Now, sometimes you may see one for downloads. You're not going to want to hit downloads. So you're going to do this, and then you're just going to run number 4 and run the disk cleanup. This will clean up all of your drives. Mine didn't have anything, so it's perfectly so I don't have any drives or any large files. Next, you're going to want to hit 5, set display settings. You're going to scroll down to graphics settings and enable hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. If you don't have this option, that means you're on an older Windows version such as 1909 and below. I would highly suggest that you update your Windows. Go into Windows Update. So you can go into Windows Update through Update and Security. Just make sure on the latest version. This setting gives a massive FPS increase in Warzone by about 10 to 20 FPS at times. Now, if you are crashing once you turn this setting on, turn it off. Obviously, it's better to have slightly lower FPS, not crash. Next, we'll go to Startup Applications. Just turn off everything you don't need. I don't need any of this running. And clean up auto runs. We're not going to touch that right now, but you can. We can just hit Run as Administrator, agree. And for example, on your logon, let's say you have something like BattleNet, which you don't want running. I also don't want something like OneDrive and your Microsoft Edge. This is just extra stuff that runs in the background and logon. Don't touch any of the others. Well, you can touch Logitech Download System. We're not going to touch any of these other ones. Don't want to hurt your system. Now we're going to disable mouse acceleration, especially if you're on a mouse and keyboard. Mouse acceleration is terrible. You definitely do not want to use it. So we're going to go to pointers. Oh, wait, sorry. Pointer options, enhance pointer precision, disable, hit apply. Now your mouse might feel different, but you want to make sure this is in the middle. So 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tick. As you see, as I say right there, hit OK. Now we can just go to general performance. This is when everything is easy. These are 2 files that you need. We're just going to start with disabling game bar. If you need to record clips, you can use something like OBS, which is what I prefer, or you can use Nvidia Instant Replay. I believe there's something with AMD. That's just what I recommend. Next, game mode. Leave this on. Enabling game mode is the best for PCs now. In older Windows versions, you just want to have it off, but now just leave it on. Then we have HAGs. We've already done this, but once again, advanced display, graphics options on. We haven't restarted yet. That's why we get that. Rebuild performance counters. You may get that error. If you do, it's perfectly fine. Next, timer resolution. This is how we're going to force your timer resolution to be the best it can. So we are going to click launch on user startup, start, minimize, and auto start monitoring. We're going to leave the list size at least 1024. One in timer resolution 0.5. But the free memory is the one where you're going to want to go to your task manager, more details, performance, and go to your memory. So for example, as you can see, I have 32 gigabytes. So we're going to want to half this and multiply it by 1024. So I'm just going to give an example. Let's say you have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is very common. That means you want to do 8 times 1024 or 8192. For me, I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, so I'm going to do 16 times 124, which is 16384. Now we're going to want to hit start. Now you may wonder, current timer resolution is at 0.5. That is perfectly fine. You have nothing to worry about. Just minimize it and it will start up every time you start your system. Now we're going to hit latency. This will just do a couple of things. So we'll actually have to right click, run as administrator. Yes. Everything's good. This is just going to disable hibernate. And if you have used this before, it will delete that. If let's say you're already using a Windows build. Run as administrator also, and we are going to set a power plan, and it will say Chambers power plan. This is the best power plan. It's based off bit sums. It has a couple more tweaks to it to fully allow your CPU not to downclock, turbo. It's not going to run at 100%. Don't worry about that. I did enable idle. Now, registry tweaks. These are just a couple to make sure that your internet, processor scheduling, and game scheduling is all good. So just right click, or just yes, yes, yes. Okay, perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit MSI. Sorry, we're going to have to right click, run as administrator. Yes. Then you're going to find your graphics card. So whether that be a Nvidia card, AMD, you want to find it. So for example, my RTX 2080 Ti, check it, hit apply, close out. That's all you need to do. So now we're on to GPU performance. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is installing your driver. You don't have to do this if you're already on the latest driver, but I am. So we're going to go to display driver on installer. We are going to download it, scroll down, and just download it from the latest location. It's perfectly safe. And we're just going to download DDU. This will allow you to perfectly and fully uninstall your driver so that nothing's left over. I'm just going to show in folder. I'm going to drop this on my desktop. And then your Nvidia or AMD driver. So with Nvidia, there's kind of different. So we're just going to click this. I would recommend the standard driver. Search. Now, this driver actually, I believe, is very good. It's what I'd recommend you go on. The old one I used to recommend is just 457.30. Let's go on 461.92. We're just going to download the driver. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to boot into safe mode. We're just going to extract this right now while that's waiting. Perfect. And then we're going to want to set safe mode. Now, to do this, you're going to do safe boot, apply, okay. We are going to exit without a restart right now. We're going to make sure that that driver installs. It just did. And there it is. Perfect. I'm just going to put that on my desktop. So now what we're going to do is we're going to restart into safe mode, and I'll tell you what to do then. So now we're in safe mode. Everything might look weird. Everything, you don't have a background. You're in low resolution. Your monitor might switch down to 60 hertz. It's perfectly fine. First thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Windows key and R. We're going to type in msconfig. Type it like this. Hit enter. Boot. Safe boot. Apply. Okay. Exit without a restart. This is just so you don't boot back into safe mode. We're just going to run this anyway. It's perfectly fine. Extract it. DDU. Display driver uninstall. This is perfect. So we're just going to hit close. All these settings are fine. We're just going to hit GPU. Now, if you're obviously on an AMD, hit AMD. Intel, maybe just hit that. We're on Nvidia. We're going to hit clean and restart. This will fully wipe the driver that Windows has installed. You may also want to unplug your internet connection just so that basic driver that Windows installs does not show up. I'm going to do that right now. So I booted back into normal mode. I unplugged my internet connection. If you're on Wi-Fi, don't worry about it. But it's still low resolution because there's no driver, just the basic Windows one. So we're going to right click, run as administrator. On the driver itself, the driver that you downloaded, click run. Perfectly fine. And yes, hit OK. And I'm going to show you how to install the driver. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. You can choose to actually have GeForce Experience or not. I'm going to choose to have it just so that I can do what most people may do, especially if they want to record their clips, post them to YouTube, Twitch, TikTok later. So we're just going to let this driver extract. And here it is. So we are going to agree and continue. Custom. Next. Perform a clean installation. Now you can install all these. I am just going to, but make sure you hit perform a clean installation. Just because let's say something did get left eye, it won't help. It won't show up. So now I'm going to let this install, set back to 2440 hertz, and we'll get right back to the installer has finished. We are not going to launch GeForce Experience. We're going to create the shortcuts perfectly fine. Sit close. Now we'll go back to the C drive. And now we're going to go to GPU performance. We're going to go to NVIDIA Profile Inspector if you have an NVIDIA graphics card. Hit import profile. Hit the NVIDIA profile.nip. Okay. And you can follow these NVIDIA GPU settings. I have the NVIDIA. There's multiple control panels. If that one shows up for you, click that one. If that one, you may need to install it from the Microsoft Store also. But now we're just going to follow this guide. But what you want to do is you want to hit Enable Developer Settings. This may show up here or down below depending on what kind of NVIDIA driver you have installed. We're not going to touch any of these settings. We're going to go to Adjust Desktop Size and Position. Make sure that is on Display Scaling. That's the best one. Adjust Desktop Color Settings. You don't need to touch any of this. Change Resolution. Make sure you're on your maximum refresh rate for your monitor. Obviously, if you want to set them out, monitor overclock, if you've already done that, go ahead. Use NVIDIA color settings and hit apply. This will make sure that the right color settings, and it'll look good also. So hit yes. Manage GPU performance counters. Allow all access and apply. That's what we want to hit. Your screen will go black. Then you just want to hit yes. Configure surround PhysX. Hit your graphics card. So whatever kind of graphics card that is. Manage 3D settings. We don't have to hit adjust image settings or preview. That's what that NVIDIA control panel will do. It'll set all these. So the only one I'm going to recommend, if these are not set, just hit low latency mode on. You want it on and not ultra. That's the best for getting the highest FPS on low settings. And if you have an AMD GPU, you can use all of these. We're also going to hit MSI mode one more time just to make sure that that is still applied, because sometimes it does change, and it did. So just hit that and hit apply. Now we're going to go to your BIOS. Now, if you don't feel comfortable, it's perfectly fine doing this, but we're going to check your PCI lanes using something called GPU Z. Just hit no. And once this loads up, bus interface. Now this might be different for you, but you're going to want to see where it says at the bottom of this pop-up, it is currently running at, you want to see X16 either 3.0 or 4.0. That's the fastest, that's what these cards allow. So yes, as you can see. Now we're going to check dual channel RAM. Yes. Now dual channel is very important. And so, for example, you can have multiple, so you just want to hit the memory tab, channel, dual. That's what you want to see. But you can also go to SPD. So, for example, I have a 2-DIMM board. That's why I show up in 1 and 2. If you have 4 DIMMs, I'm going to recommend 2 and 4 if you do not have them, if you do not have 4, 6 or more. And now we're going to go into your BIOS and we're going to talk about these settings. Now, this is for my AMD. So to AMD, to just get to this setting, you want to go to your advanced tab, AMD CBS, CPU options, and whatever, and see global or something called C states. You want to disable that. And XMP, that'll be in like the OC tab, and you're just going to want to enable that. So we're just going to restart to BIOS, where you can also do this by hitting your Windows key, right clicking, and restarting. I'm just going to recommend you hit the delete key if you have a 60%. Sorry, but we're just going to want to spam this delete key. So we're going to spam it until we see a pop-up menu, something that looks slightly different. So now that we are in BIOS, first of all, every BIOS will look different or something. Maybe in some easy mode or something. All we're going to want to do is you want to hit F7 or whatever it is to get out of it and go into advanced mode. Now we're going to want to hit OC or whatever it is. And we're just going to scroll down until we see extreme memory profile. Set that to enabled. So that's what you do. And then you may see advanced CPU options if you're on Intel like I am. You want to see this. So maybe on auto, disabled, enabled. Just make sure it's disabled. And then we can boot back in BIOS by hitting F10 and enter. Now to make sure that your RAM XMP did work, so you're going to want to go to the memory tab once again. You'll see 4266. Now, if you're wondering, how do I know what my RAM is supposed to be at? It's whatever the RAM sticks are rated at, whether that be like 3600, 3200, 3000, 4000. It's whatever. If you don't know, just pop out a stick and there should be a little sticker on it that you should see. But now we are going to open up the pack again. And now it's time to set launcher settings. So now let's open up BattleNet. And let's actually set up these settings. So we're just going to close this out. It's perfectly fine. Settings. On launch, exit BattleNet completely. And exit BattleNet completely. And then disable hardware, browser hardware extensions, acceleration. We're going to restart later. And we're going to open up that pack again by the Chamber Tech folder. Config. Now this is my Modern Warfare config. There's a couple of things in here that need to be changed just for your hardware. So we're going to Control-C, go to your documents, and then paste it in. Now we're going to hit players. Everything is perfectly fine except for this ADV options. So right click, uncheck read only, hit edit. So everything will be perfectly fine except for render work count. Now, what I'm going to say is that you just load up the game and then see what it auto sets at. For me on my 10900K, it auto sets to 9. But a lot of people will recommend that you set it to your actual cores. That is not what it recommends. For a good rule of thumb I found is on Intel, you can basically subtract by 3. So since mine goes on 9, you set to 6. A 10700K or a 9900K will do something like 7, do 4. And an 8700K, like a 6 core, will typically do something like 5. And I found that 2, sometimes 3, depending on your clock speed, is best. Just, you can mess around with this setting. And then on AMD, so on AMD Ryzen or something, typically divide by 2. So, for example, a 5950X will do 16. Recommend 8, sometimes 9. Just do whatever you think is best. For me, it's 6. If you have any questions, you can leave it down below in the comments, and I'll try and see what I can do to figure out what's best. Once you've done that, right-click, Properties, Read Only, Apply, OK. And now we're actually going to load up the game now. Just hit BattleNet, and then we're going to start the game. So when loading up the game, you may get something like your hardware configuration has changed or whatever. Don't worry about it. Just hit no, and you may be like, you've restarted wrong. Just hit no. We don't want to change any of these settings. Now, I am going to recommend that you definitely allow shaders to install. Just let them take their time, install all the shaders. We'll go through these settings while we're at it. Now, these do have all my movement binds and stuff. Really fun. It has my colorblind mode that I use to allow better view. But the graphics is where everything matters. Full screen, definitely go full screen. It's the lowest input delay. Display monitor, yeah, whatever. Make sure this is your maximum screen refresh rate. I've had this go down to like 200 sometimes. It's so annoying. Render resolution, let it be 100. If you want to change your resolution, just go ahead and here. The only time I'd recommend changing this off of 100 is if you want to increase it. So for example, on my rig, I can go to 110 and not see any visual quality or any FPS dips with significant better quality and also viewing distance. I recommend unlimited. Let's say that your hardware is like overheating, cap it at your monitor's refresh rate. Nvidia reflex low latency. So if you're on a 2000 series RTX card or below, just leave that enabled. Enable plus boost for something with the RTX 3000, so like a 3090, a 3080, 3070, 3060, 3060 Ti, whatever cards they come out with next. Just do whatever you want. Just do that. Streaming quality low. So everything is very low. That's the best way to get the lowest FPS. Obviously, if there's something you prefer, it's perfectly fine. We're going to want to enable cache spot and cache sun shadows. That's the only thing that we're going to actually have enabled. Everything else is disabled. We're going to disable depth of field, disable anti-aliasing, motion blur, obviously, and filmic strength at 1. That's just going to make it look the best. Dynamic resolution, we're going to want to disable this, especially in Warzone, a CPU-bound game. This isn't going to do anything. Maybe if you're on a really low-end rig, it may do something, and I'd recommend just capping this at your monitor's refresh rate. So, for example, for me, it'd be 240 or 240 enabled, but it's fine. Disable it. Hit apply your settings. These are my audio settings and then everything else. But now let's load up Warzone. And I'll show you the FPS I'm getting. So now we're booting into the game. I'm actually going to put on my headset. And as you can see, I'm getting about 200-ish FPS. 240, basically locked. Now, you may not be getting the same FPS as I am with the same setup. Your overclocks are significantly important. Join my Discord, message in chamber help. That's how I can personally help you with a paid service get the maximum FPS. That's the best way. So that's how you do it. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'm going to have more FPS boosts going on for different games. Comment down below what games you guys want also, and I'll do what I can to get the most FPS out of it. Join me on Discord. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And share this with your friend, especially if they need more FPS. Because your FPS can help you get a better KD. It helped me. I went from like a 0.6 KD pleb to like a 1 KD winner. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, guys.